Welcome to the panel discussion for the month November 2025. The topic is hallucinations, hype, and guardrails. How do you build a safe Gen AI without losing speed? I know it might sound like a little bit of a challenge or surprise because when we talk about AI and everything recently, especially, it's more of a hype. We meaning we hear a lot more good things, a lot more surprising things. So at the same time, as a business, when you are going about and implementing this, there are a lot of challenges that come with it, and of course, the compliance issues and the other guardrails in place. And there are some of the shortfalls, one of the main challenges, the hallucinations, right? So like when AI sometimes thinks something funny, or for whatever the reason, and how do you go about and control that, right? So the Gen AI revolution has transformed the way brands interact with customers. Now we discuss chatbots, virtual agents, knowledge assistants, and personalized responses. However, the same technology that promises scale and speed also risks misinformation, right? Bias and privacy breaches. So that's very, very sensitive, and so one has to be very careful, while walking this through all these guardrails, and not making a misstep. And also at the same time, how do you innovate quickly and bring the good features and make it our customers life better, so it's good for all of us, right? So in CX, even a small hallucination can have an outsized impact on trust. So the challenge isn't whether to adopt GenAI, but how to deploy it safely at scale without slowing innovation, right? That seems to be the major challenge for most of the companies while they get their feet wet, while they're trying to implement it and go about and getting this done, right? So this panel aims to explore how organizations can accelerate GenAI-driven CX while staying compliant, responsible, and customer trusted, right? So to do this, we have three eminent panelists with us. Let me take a moment to give their introductions, right? So first, let's invite Komal Kolar, right? Our first panelist knows what it takes to balance innovation and integrity in one of the most regulated industries, banking. With over 2 decades at HDFC, Kotak, and SPM Bank, Komal has led digital transformation that integrated data, risk, and compliance into single intelligent framework. She's been first she has seen firsthand how automation, AI, and governance can coexist, and more importantly, how they must. Please welcome Komal, a leader who proves that GenAI can move fast without breaking compliance. Welcome, Komal.
Thank you, Utuman. Thank you very much for having me here. And I'll try my best to share my inputs with the team.
Certainly, yeah. Can't wait for that. Okay. So now next, let me introduce Dushan. Next up is someone who builds technology with a traveler's mindset. He is curious, fearless, and always pushing boundaries. Dushan, Chief Technology and Product Officer at Hosteler, has led a full stack digital transformation across 60 plus locations. He is also an author, a podcaster, and a multiple award winning tech leader, including CTO of the Year. Dushan brings the creator's perspective to this debate. How do you keep innovation lightning fast while making sure GenAI doesn't run off the run off the rails. Let's welcome Dishan, the architect of tech that scales responsibly.
Thank you,
Welcome,
sir.
Dishan.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Yeah, glad to have you here. Um, so the third panelist, Ritwan Bakshi. Our next panelist is a master of turning complexity into clarity. Ritwan Bakshi has led transformation and process excellence across organizations like Omega Healthcare, Tech Mahindra, and HGS. Named one of the India's most iconic quality leaders, he has implemented AI ML models for everything from attrition prediction to intraday staffing. Sounds very interesting, right? His mantra is guardrails don't slow you down, they keep you running longer, smarter, and safer. Please welcome Ritwan, a transformation leader who believes that great CX starts with a great discipline. Welcome, Ritwan.
Thank you. Thank you. And look forward to the to an insightful discussion based
Absolutely.
on
Yeah,
what
yeah,
we, yeah.
sure. Yeah. So now without further delay, now we introduced about the topic. So now we'll go into the discussion points. So we have few discussion points that we will go. So Komal, I'll start with you. But Dishan and Ritupon, please feel free to join and express your views, right? So Komal, here's a discussion point we want to start with. We have all seen what happens when AI confidently gives the wrong answer. Think of a chatbot that apologizes for a delayed flight that never existed or recommends a bank product that violates policy. These are not just hallucinations, they can break customer trust overnight. Maybe you can share a real world instance from your organization. How do you catch these errors early? Is it through human in the loop systems or something else entirely?
Okay. This is a very meaningful question, especially in times when in financial services, artificial intelligence and machine learning is everywhere. So we are talking about hallucination. So let us understand first things first. Uh, any machine learning model or AI model, so it's interchangeable. So if I say AI, so it's machine learning and the other way around. So any AI model is for anything, there is data that is involved. So, if the data correctly captures the outcome that it should likely produce,
Hmm.
then the machine will produce the right or the appropriate outcome. So
Yeah.
let us try and see it from that aspect. And I'll give you a very interesting example without naming a company, not from our industry, but a very generic conversational AI example, which really didn't make news, but it still did. Uh,
Okay.
so, uh, so hallucination is what? That it is producing fabricated responses, or let's not look at it in a manner that the model is trying to lie to the user, or it is trying to deviate from the actual information. Like data is underlying. So if the model has not been trained on the appropriate data, then the outcome will definitely not be furnished to the user as expected. So it is
Yeah.
not lying to you. So you can say that they are more like educated guesses that
Yes.
the model is trying to give. So it
Okay.
has been
Yeah.
trained, it has been educated based on a particular data. So that
Yeah.
is what the model knows. So if a question comes which is not in the syllabus of that model, then the model is will likely try to give you the information which may deviate from the actual outcome. So, like I
Yeah.
was saying, in a conversational AI case, so there was an instance which happened in 2021 in the US, so which spoke about a missing person case, which the name of the person was Gaby Petito. When people inquired from the conversation model about Gaby Petito, they started getting queries around potatoes, which is a vegetable. So So when the team investigated, they never could see what was the reason for the model not being able to interpret the outcome. The reason being, such type of data has never been fed into the model, so it required retraining, exposing the model to that kind of information, and hence in the future the model could be trained well to deliver the outcome that the user would be. So maybe the case happened in 21. So if you would ask the same question after the model has been retrained, it will appropriately give you the answer. So yes, of course, it requires training. It requires validation of the outcome before it is put into production. And after the model is deployed, it still requires, monitoring. So there are steps which cannot be skipped, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to
Yeah.
put it a little interesting way.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel that AI seems to be more egoistic and it never try to say, I don't know. And whenever you ask you something, it will always try to give you some answer. Okay, now it depends on the what data it has, right? It has all the data which is required to give the answer, it will try to give the correct answer. But as soon as it lacks the data which is required to give that, then it try to fill the gap in between with some assumptions, and then
Yeah.
hallucination started. It
Yeah.
start giving some guessing answer which is not met. And if we monitor that hallucination and we keep filling the right data to the system, then the percentage can keep on reducing. We cannot say
Really.
never that there will be 100% correct models, and that's not never going to happen. There's always the percentage of hallucination can be reduced, and the accuracy can be improved to get the correct outcome. Now
True.
it depends what type of application we are building with this one, right? Something which is very critical, which has the financial data or which is very precise inputs are required. GenAI will be little critical over there. But something very informative detail, like in our case, let's say you want to build a AI travel itinerary. Right? If your itinerary is 99%, it's fine. People are happy with that one. Okay, 1% or 2%, some mess ups are fine in that case. But if I am creating something in my PNL data, of which creates some data analytics and create some reports, then there is a mess up with that one, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we experimented both these use cases with GenAI, and we see where it makes sense for to implement these models.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's like if you're querying something like, what like even this week it happened actually. So we were discussing about like, what are the advantage of starting a business in the US, like, in different parts of the US, different states, because it has different like, the advantage tax structures and everything. So, few years back, if you had that discussion, right, like we would have thought about like, let's bring in someone who is expert, right, like some CPA, or like, some even attorney in that like, space, who helps with like taking care of setting up the corporations, or like, some kind of experts, right? But being in the AI world now, like, so the simple suggestion was like, let's ask like, ChatGPT and see what we get, right? So yeah, so questions like that you can ask. Maybe it can give something a little bit wrong. It's just like, not like, it's not like a awfully like, bad outcome, right? Like, so you can always go double check and like, can correct it. But then if you're talking about like a PNL and other sensitive information, like there is just no room for even a 0.1%, right? So it's just it makes it that much harder. So yeah.
Right.
That's why, like, even when Komal, I was asking, like Komal was saying how they are adopting in banking, because banking is one place where that accuracy is like, is absolutely cannot be compromised, right? So just that it makes it a lot more challenging, right? So yeah, okay,
See, I'll just add one additional perspective
yeah,
here, which is, see, the perspective is no different actually than what Komal was saying. It is
uh-huh.
exactly I believe she was also saying something similar. I just want to word it a little more differently, and also exaggerate it a little more, just to bring the point across. So I'm purposely exaggerating what I'm about to say and what I'm saying now in order to just get the point across.
Sure.
So I think uh, by design, and this is not inaccurate, it's just a little bit of
Yeah.
exaggeration uh, or dramatization, if you want to call it that, not
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
exaggeration.
Yeah.
So by design, uh, Gen AI is expected and supposed to hallucinate because uh, if it is not hallucinating, we are back to rules-based model.
Yes.
The moment we move from rules-based models to generative AI models, by the definition itself and by design of how those models are produced itself, it is hallucination. Uh, I am coming here, Komal is coming here, you are here, Dushyant is here. We are all here speaking and talking with each other. At the end of the day, if we really look at it, we are all hallucinating because the questions you are asking are not right or wrong answers. They
Hmm.
are all probability based
Yes.
Mhm.
answers, which is to some extent which Gen AI models are also doing, right? So
Yeah.
by design, by purpose, it is they're all hallucinating. Uh, all humans in all the interactions at the end of the day are creating Gen AI based or rather probabilistic based responses. They're hallucinating. When we project the future, we hallucinate. When we create strategies, we hallucinate. And the only other, I would just put it even more dramatically here, the only alternative to a human hallucinating is to go back to being a lizard, which does not hallucinate. So having said this dramatic perspective, I think the solution is not that humans should become lizards. It is the question of guardrails, which
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
is something which should make these models beneficial from business perspective.
Business.
So
Yes.
absolutely. I mean, to run a business, we don't need to become lizards. To run a business, we need guardrails. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Similarly,
Absolutely.
in the case of AI, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good point, right? So actually, the what you said about the human is right, right? What is our learning, right? If you just think about it, like our learning, of course, we learn how to read and write, but then the more learning comes, like going and then looking at something and remembering that shape or what it does or how it behaves or how it feels or or where it is located or there are a lot of information that goes along when you are looking at something, and then those information is what we learn about, right? And then when we are looking at it the same or like a little bit similar somewhere else, all we are trying to do is hallucinate. Okay, I saw it there, and I'm I'm looking here. Could be that. It could be this. Maybe because how it feels, or maybe because the location, maybe the shape, maybe the color.
Mhm.
So, there are a lot of assumption that So when you're trying to bridge that gap, and when you are making a good guess, the probability is getting higher and higher. So as you have more data, as you have more relevant data, it becomes a lot more interesting, a lot more accurate, and lesser data and lesser exposure makes it more wider room for the hallucinations. And yeah,
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'll just add one sentence here, which is hallucination is nothing but a probabilistic
yeah,
prediction, which is not 100%, I would say, predictable outcome. That's hallucination, right? So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
anything which is known, something which is 100% probability is reality. So there is either a reality or within quotes hallucination. There is a known fact or there is a prediction which always carries a probability which can be 80% or 99.9%, but is still a
yeah,
probability. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the issue comes only when there is totally a wrong information, like a flight that never existed, right? So why, and how do you guardrail that kind of a scenario? Because on the other side of the AI is a human, right, who is interacting with it. So they may be asking a question with a good intent of learning about it, or to trick about, to trick the platform, or like you know for some other reason, right? So um, humans are, even now, for a good amount of time to come, we are going to be a lot more smarter, or we know, we you kind of have a edge, how to trick a situation, or even our the previous discussion that Komal was saying, right? So how that person's name is very close to potato, and how it gets tricked. So yeah, things like that can happen, but then yeah, you have to face it and then just bridge that gap, and keep making it better. So yeah, it's a lot better now, and it will get better. And yeah, it's going to be a good thing. Yeah. So let's move to the next discussion point. This is Ritupon, so we'll go with you for this to start with. Every company wants to say they use Gen AI, but if you look closely, some of those deployments are just shiny toys with no measurable ROI. On the other hand, there are real wins, like a predictive chat summaries that help agents save 20 seconds per call. It's like a really good, measurable outcome, right? So how do we separate the hype from the real experience enhancing applications of Gen AI?
See, I think this is I mean, it's a very, I would say, it is a question which touches on several aspects. I mean, in my view, it's a complex question with many facets. One way I'll try to see if I can do justice to this complex question is, so today, for example, I'm talking from my point of view. Let us say we are going for certain outsourcing contracts with potential partners or potential customers.
Mm-hmm.
The expectation from all potential outsourcers today uh, is at the onset technology. So technology, and what are the upfront technology investments, and what are the upfront savings you will deliver to us, benefits you will deliver to us in the year one,
Yeah.
and then year over year, what is it that you are going to deliver? And when sales teams and CXOs get caught in that situation, they have no other option given the competitive landscape to pick up promises and make upfront bets that over the next 6 months and 1 year, we will be able to convert that promise into a deliverable. And that is where it, I believe, is one place where it starts. The 20 seconds is something which a potential client will probably just brush apart, because that is something which is there out there, right? So that is one aspect of what the market is expecting, and the customers and the clients are expecting people to do,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
which which leads to this. I will not say hype, but uh, where we look at the promise of something, and we start betting, and we bet that six months down the line we'll be able to crack it, and we promise that particular thing, which is
Yeah.
not really a hype. Uh, those 20-second savings are meaningful, proven savings. They have worked, they continue to work, and companies continue to do that. So it's not that we don't do that. But two things are happening in my view. One is, uh, and both are happening parallelly. One, depending on organization to organization, that is becoming more and more bread and butter uh, thing, which is something which is routine, which is happening. But the so-called hype part is where the money is also, as well as the attention of the CEOs and leaders everyone is getting focused on. So, uh, I mean, it's a tightrope. It is something which has to be walked upon. The only thing I believe is we need to just make sure that we have the right people, the right structures, the right teams, and we do things to really look at both uh, the high end as well as the bread and butter part, both, and we don't ignore either of them, but make sure we keep on working on both of them. I don't know if I would answered your question
No, no,
accurately.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's correct in many ways, right? Because uh, so it depends on how we are deriving value from that particular scenario, and how it fits into your business use case and everything. Yeah, it's not that
yeah,
straightforward, right? The
yeah.
20-second means different for different people. So just so it's
Yeah,
not.
I mean, I'm sure even for Dushyant or even for any startup, saying that we have a AI model uh, which, for example, I worked for a short time in a startup. So this was an aggregator for movers and packers industry. Typical traditional models are someone will go to your house and they will see your household goods and then they will
Yeah,
decide. So here again, you have AI models which predict that. So it may not do it accurately, but those are the things which you may call them as hype, you may call them as sales tactics, but that is also what the expectation of the customers are today. They want to
yeah,
see
yeah,
those
yeah,
things.
yeah. When you said that, right, it makes me remember. I recently had a conversation with a person where I was interviewing someone. So he was coming from industry where very interesting actually. So he mentioned cargo, right? When you're cargo liners, the one of the big thing that they have to go through do is how to size the shipments, right? How much you can put in one container, right? And is it going to be one or a half or so that's a big part of their business, right? So which used to be done manually, some automation now they have introduced some AI there, functionality where it can you can do a video of things that you're trying to ship, and it comes with a precise measurement, and then it says I can do this in one container, and then I will still have some more room to fit in some more other cargo, which is pretty significant for that industry, right? Because now you are talking about not just saving time, and now you have a lot of advantage over it. Think you can use it as an audit. You can use it as a foolproof way of making sure all the containers are having the right things at the right place at the right quantity, and right.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. And
Such
again,
a
again, from my experience again with this startup, it was not only about household goods, it was also
yeah,
about corporate moving stores, setting up retail stores,
yeah,
things like that. But see, I think the whole point is that yes, AI is able to do that, but guardrails become important because
yeah,
errors are possible.
absolutely, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so whether it is your different known retrieval retrieval systems, whether it is your rules which are created as guardrails, but the guardrails make sure we don't make costly mistakes or the models don't make costly mistakes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, good. So let's move on to the next discussion point. Dushan, I want to start with you. There is a tension I keep hearing about. The faster you innovate, the harder it gets to keep your AI accurate, secure, and explainable. One company I spoke to had a brilliant GenAI model for auto replying to customers, but when asked why it made a decision, no one could explain it. How do you solve that can accuracy and explainability coexist at scale?
It depends, right? What type, again, we discussed earlier, right? What type of model we are creating and what type of data has been used to train the model, right? If we have the control of both the things, that you can control the fine tuning of the model and you can feed the data how much data is required to give the correct output, then you can manage both things. But again, generation of right amount of data is little slow process. You cannot
Yep.
have the humongous correct data at all time. So as soon as you keep getting the more and more data, because all the organizations which have the huge amount of data, they can do much better than the all the new startups which are lack in data, right? So just give an example. I want to build a travel recommendation engine. If I have the historical data of all the people who love to travel which place relevantly, then I can create better model than any other one who's just coming new without any data.
Yeah. Yeah.
So data can help to improve that one. Nowadays, I think the models are keep coming, right? And new models are created by multiple organization and open source community, and the accuracy keep on improving. Now, the data, which is going to be differentiating factor to innovating and going rapid in innovation, getting the better result.
Komal, you want to attempt that, Komal, or
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
In financial services industry, there are a few things which are non-negotiable. So whether it is privacy, whether it is
yeah,
explainability, it is
hmm,
transparency, it is about, there are frameworks around responsible AI, ethical AI. So these things are non-negotiable in financial services industry. At the same time, the innovation pace has to stay. So
yeah,
when we are saying that, guardrails or compliance and risk management guidance notes are halting the pace of innovation, that is not totally
yeah,
correct. So there
right,
is another way of looking at it. So if you, I made a small mention. So in a model, you have to train a model, you have to test a model, and then you have to deploy a model. So testing basically allows you to see whether the model is ready to be deployed or not ready to be deployed. If you are which you can also say that we are doing a pilot. So if you are skipping the pilot, you are training the model and directly putting it into production, then it is likely that issues of bias, issues of hallucination, issues of low accuracy, wrong outcomes, they are
yeah,
bound to occur. So sooner than later, you will have to go back and reinvent the wheel.
hmm,
So if you are initially spending, if any organization is initially spending time in training the model, in testing it, so putting the tracks in place initially, so that duration will be well invested. Else, you will have to kind of come back and reinvent the whole thing again. So let's look at it like this. So you have put your tracks train on the right track from
okay,
day one. So you are
yeah,
investing the time initially, but when the tracks are set right, when the train is running fine, that the innovation can pick up pace. So you don't
yeah,
need to come back and correct that mistake. Suppose you directly, put the model into production and you face these issues, you will have to pull down that model and spend maybe double the time in correcting that issue, which will further harm your innovation or
yes,
deployment
yeah,
pace,
yeah,
depending on whatever business case you may be having. So, our view of looking at it is the guardrails or the governance frameworks or the risk management protocols are basically halting the mistakes. They are not halting the innovation. So, halting
innovation,
of mistake means catching those early, correcting them, following those steps, and then deploying so that from there on, it can be a V, you can say, we can draw a
yeah,
V from there on. And then, ongoing monitoring will become more relevant. So
yeah,
because after model deployment, it requires model monitoring. So
yeah,
monitoring will also mean you will have to keep checking on the accuracy. You will have to keep checking on the drifts. When we say drifts, so they could be, again, a drop in the accuracy, or the example that I gave, the new data requires to be fed into the model. So in this case, for example, there's a thing called concept drift. So, for example, there is a fraud model that an organization is developing. A financial institution is developing a model to arrest the fraud on a real time basis. So today the patterns of fraud are, maybe A, B, C. So we are tracking what are the patterns today. So
Yeah.
once the model is put into production, you will still have to keep monitoring the evolving patterns that have come into play and
Yeah.
integrate it into the model. So if you are not doing that, then the same problem that we spoke about,
Right.
a Gaby
Mm.
potato will be replaced by a fraud. The fraud will
Yeah.
not be recognized. And in an industry like financial services, the stakes are huge. So it is highly regulated industry. The stakes are huge, involving reputation risk and financial risk and the rest of it. And of course, so to maybe again summarize, it is not halting innovation in any way. It is just building those stepping stones slowly, and once the things are in place, it can really pick up pace to the extent any organization would want it to.
Wanted to. Absolutely. Yeah. 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 So, in one of the discussions, like, when we were talking about the complaint, so one of the comments were like, the question was, why do you think we have a brake in a sports car, right? So, do you think it is there to slow the car down, or like, it? No, actually, it helps the car go faster, right? How can a brake can allow a car go faster? So, well, when you make a turn, you have to slow down. If you don't slow down, like, so you are going to be in trouble, right? So so you have to be able to control the speed, so you can, as soon as you navigate that curve, you can again speed up and, like, go, which means you're going faster. So it's directly helping you to go faster. So yeah, so very good point. Yeah, thanks. So the next point is, like, all three of you can like, chip in, right? So the point is, imagine a customer finds out mid conversation that they have been talking to an AI all along without being told upfront. That single moment can destroy trust. Do you think that customer really care whether they are talking to a human or a machine, as long as they get the right resolution, or does disclosure still matter for trust? Komal, like, you want, if you want to go,
Yeah.
Dushan, you can also, or like,
Yes.
yeah,
I
even
can
I think
take
from
Dushan.
this
my
one.
side,
Yeah.
Okay, Dushyant, go ahead.
yeah.
Mm.
So again, it's depending on the use case, right? What type of problem you want to solve, right? In my case, if you want to customer wants to come and they want to cancel their booking and get a refund via automated or AI chatbot, they're happy with the things. Okay, if they, as soon as till the time they're getting their refunds, right? If that, if especially an Indian customer, if you're getting your money back, the things are sorted. It doesn't matter you are AI. But as soon as you go into deeper conversation, that okay, hey, last day I am have some accident and I cannot come to your place and I now I want my refund. Now AI will deny the refund because of the policies. But then human empathy is required that a person has some emergency situation and now you need to refund percentage of amount to that person. So what type of use case is required and where the empathy is required more than the fixed set of rules, then human play better role. And in that case, the people will fight it. Okay, why the humans are not coming and solving our problem? Why we are reacted to bot only? So
Yeah.
that's the use case of what we are seeing.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So when they are looking for to, like, get something done, and when AI goes by the rule, then yeah, that's, yeah. So the empathy would be a key. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. 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 Komal, do you want to add yours?
Yes.
Ritumani, actually.
Yeah. So again, in the financial services industry, transparency is a mandate. It's not a matter of choice. So I spoke about a framework that is guiding financial services, which is free. Free AI is framework for responsible and ethical enablement of AI. So which insists on transparency and explainability of models. So disclosures become, mandatory. At
Mm.
any point in time, if a client, because it also, since the industry is sensitive, so the client is in a way also consenting to that transaction. So seeking client consent also comes into play. And there are separate norms which are driven by DPDP Act, which is Data Privacy and Protection Act, which is a separate, which has an interplay with transparency
Mm.
norms. And there are high stake information sharing which the bots may be doing with the with the client. So if it's an informational bot, for example, you just want to know about your bank statement, you want to know about a balance, so you can still say that it was an informational bot and the stake is not that high. Though there is not a choice here whether we want to disclose or not. Disclosures are there, but in an informational bot, the stakes are not that high. So you may say that we want to introduce risk-based disclosures. You
Yeah.
may eventually say that. But suppose you are talking to a bot and asking a bot to calculate your eligibility for availing of a loan. So the bot takes all the information from you, stores it somewhere, gives you your eligibility, based on which you make your financial decisions. How are you going to proceed with the amount which the bank is going to lend to you? Suppose there is a mistake there. Suppose there is no disclosure that the bot gave you,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
tomorrow it causes some concerns in terms of execution of the information which the bot gave you, then
Mm.
accountability and ownership also becomes very relevant in terms of going back in the loop and figuring out what went wrong where and addressing it accordingly. And again, like I said, risk-based disclosures could come into play at some point in time, but right now disclosures become very relevant in the financial services industry, keeping all these parameters and perspectives in mind. uh, are not directly related to our financial services industry, but otherwise, there is a very recent news which is going on. It doesn't pertain to the Indian market. It is again the news that has come from US because they innovate a lot more and their laws are very different from what it is in India. There is a mother which has who has sued ChatGPT for the suicide of her son, because ChatGPT coached her son on the steps on how to commit a suicide. So they are saying that because disclosures were not there, because it was initially not stated that the person is not talking to a human, so it becomes a case of abetment to suicide. So it can have those extreme scenarios outside of banking, but within banking, since the stakes involve your financial risk, your reputation risk, and the other risk, of course, like can be seen from the example, so disclosures become non-negotiable.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's a sad story, but yeah. Um, but the issue is point on what we are discussing now, right? So it's very very relevant, and that's the reality. So yeah. Um. Yeah. So Ridwan, you want to
Yeah,
add something?
I'll just add one thing because I think both Dushyant and Komal have covered almost anything that you could think of under the scope of the question. The only thing I'll just add to what Dushyant said is just to give one example. There was a watch I ordered on Amazon. It was a gift for my daughter. Again, it was a
Okay.
branded watch, not an unbranded one. When it came to me, I opened the box. It was an empty box. There was no watch in it. Right now, uh, uh, in this case, in this specific use case, I probably wanted to talk to a live human so that could vent out my frustration. If
Yeah.
I would have spoken to a bot, maybe the bot would have given the same resolution, which is send a replacement watch. But here, maybe I wanted to talk to a human. So I'll
Yeah.
just this particular thing, I would
Yes.
like to add that again, it is just
Having
adding,
that option
echoing,
of
yeah,
yeah.
echoing what Dushan said, that in some situations you might want to talk to a human. In some situations, you might
It's okay. Yeah,
you
yeah,
may
yeah.
prefer, in fact, talking to a machine, because whenever you are talking to a human, there is a emotional load on the emotional system, not just on the
Mhm.
cognitive system. There is either an empathy or something, and at times you don't want that. You want an information, you want that information, and that's it. You don't want to burden yourself with talking with a human and the niceties of human interactions. You just want a quick
Absolutely.
interaction.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it is.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, good point. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So we had one discussion point for Streaman since he's not there. So like I thought I'll ask like so anyone of you can answer or all of you can chip in also. Okay. So the point was innovation teams love to move fast, but compliance, legal, and ethics teams are often running behind, waving red flags. I read about financial institutions that launched an AI-powered claims bot in 6 weeks, only to shut it down in 3 days due to biased responses. Do you think the answer lies in shared ownership, where legal, risk, and AI teams co-design the deployment, or do we entirely new governance structure? Probably Komal would have definitely something to say, but yeah.
So here, whenever a model is introduced from stage one to deployment and even post the model is deployed, like post-model deployment monitoring. So my view, in my opinion, the teams are anyway working together. So the model cannot be put into production if all these teams are not functioning, hand in hand. So it requires a functional expert to give a functional input. It will require a software engineer to give a UI UX feel. It will require a data scientist to work on creation of a model. To put those models into testing and then into production will require clearance from your compliance and risk management functions. You'll also
Yeah.
have to see that the model is in sync with the policy laid down by the RBI, your internal policies. So you go ahead and getting a green signal to put it into production requires all these departments to come into
Yeah.
play, starting from
Yeah.
business to information technology to risk management, compliance, etc. So now you mentioned again that they are delaying the process. Be partially true, because the we were speaking before the call started. So the governance norms, the compliance risk management norms are also changing at a very fast pace. So sometimes the internal approvals or the internal chain of approvals is lengthy. So it might take 6 months or 8 months for getting some sign off to
All
put
the
something into place. By
mm,
that time, the regulation has already evolved or
yeah.
a new thing has come into play. So maybe that requires a little bit of streamlining or maybe reduction or delegation of authority or making it leaner decision models which can come into play to fasten that process. But
Yeah.
doing away with any of these departments is only going to aggravate the issues, because you have to kind of and tick mark everything, starting from a business to IT deployment to these compliance risk department. What do you say? Green signals, or the thing that they need to concur that all is in place before the model is put into production. So manual processes can be streamlined, but doing away, and it is again, coming back to the same thing. These things are not halting any innovation or delaying the process. The manual approval process or that chain could possibly, or the speed of regulation, which is requiring the organization to keep revisiting the same thing 2 3 times because it has the by the time the final approval comes, the
Yes.
compliance or the risk management policy. So those factors could be the reason, wherein internal shifts can be seen by the organization, and that is also case to case. But that is broadly what is seen, rather than it acting as a deterrent to innovation per se overall.
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, good point. Yeah, sometimes the when these departments take a little bit of time, it's a good thing, right? Because you need to take a pause and just see what we have done and make sense, or did we think that through from all different perspective. So before going and then putting it out, and then the question says after 3 days they have to put it back, so that's very unpleasant situation
I
for the
think to
business
to
and also
yeah,
for the customers, everyone. So
I
yeah.
think to handle this one, that different approach needs to be taken. Okay, we need proper AI committee kind of processes where the representative from each department will be there to speed up the process, because the current structure won't support this one. And again, delay from one department will delay the whole innovation process which the organization want to build.
Hmm.
So separate AI committees are required, which has the representative from all the key stakeholder, and the committee needs to push, make sure that all the decisions will be taken in the right direction and in timely manner. Because
Okay.
silos kill the innovation. Okay, that's the
Yeah,
biggest
yeah,
issue in
Yeah,
as the
yeah.
company organization
But
grows. That's the issue.
yeah, see, I
yeah.
think, see, I'll just add here one thing. I think both Komal and Dushyant are right. In one way, I differ a little bit from both of them, but I don't know if there is a clear answer to this out of the box or not, which is that there is a fact that at times uh, these so-called silos restrict innovation. It does happen. It
Mm-hmm.
also is the fact simultaneously that if we don't have these silos, then there are risks which the company can get exposed to. So, two examples come to my mind. One is that of one of our friends. Uh, he had built along with his team long back a app for a ride share of bikes. This was
Okay.
yeah, so this was uh, several years back in Bangalore. He was speaking about that, and then he took some input from me as well. It was over a cup of tea and some pakoras. It was raining, and we were having a discussion. Now, uh, again, the silo view was that as per the current rules at that time, and the laws and the interpretation of laws, what another partner of that person told is that that is not legal, because interpreting it from a legal point of view, there was a big compliance risk, and it was not legal. Only cars could have a ride share kind of thing, and not bike taxis were not allowed. And yet we have a scenario today that in several cities, including in Hyderabad, this is now common, whether it is
Yeah.
Ola or every. But some time back, and he did not pursue it further.
Hmm.
There was this expert legal silo view who looked at things in the black when it came to law and came to a decision that it is illegal, too risky, do not pursue. And he missed that opportunity. Yet it is something which is there. So it did restrict innovation. In another healthcare client, there was this case where uh, there was a technology which the client, this was a healthcare client, Humana, their technology team refused to allow that. And yet today that is being implemented. So yeah, you're right. These experts will look at things from a really expert, siloed point of view, and will restrict innovation. But then there are also the risks. If you don't listen to these people, there are two situations where probably the business did not benefit, but I'm sure there would be
Yeah.
10 other situations where maybe they would have taken a call based on the grace and they would have landed on the wrong side of the law. So I don't know if what is the
Okay.
right balance, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point actually. it was not like great for that person to miss that opportunity. But yeah, like there are a lot of challenges, right? In fact, there are certain industries that go through this pain area a lot more than some of the other industries. So that's why like the banking and the financials and this healthcare and some of these industries, you are in a tricky situation where you have to use innovation, you have to give better value, you have to give better experience to the customer, and also you're being pushed to live up with a lot of the other guardrails, to
Yeah.
make sure
Yeah. Yeah. And for example, in Dushyant's case, which is a hostel with shared accommodation, I'm sure they might have had some discussions internally. What if two people who do not know each other and there is uh,
conflict. Yeah,
some conflict or some uh,
yeah,
police complaints or other issues? Should we do it? Should we not do it? And yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
obviously, this case always happen. But again, if you want to socialize the thing and then you want to keep the private, so both the thing have their own advantage. Yeah, you cannot be private and you cannot do networking.
yeah, true. Yeah,
So all
yeah,
the
it
data
happens.
people are giving to ChatGPT don't know what the use cases are happening on that one. But people are still giving the data to ChatGPT and all the AI models. So
Yeah, true. Hmm, interesting. Okay, so that brings us to end of the discussion points. So Abdul, you want to see if audience have questions. Audience, be ready, so you can get ready with your questions for our panelists, and then while I'm trying to thank them, and and then you have a few minutes to ask your questions. Okay, if you want to type in the chat also, please go ahead and do that. So I want to take a time, to thank all three of you. We were supposed to have one more streamer, he could not join us, but let's see if we can, get him on other series in the future. So, Komal, thank you so much for being here. You are always a lot more informative and not holding back, sharing your thoughts on a lot of this discussion points. And so thank you so much for taking time to be with us, and looking forward to have you for one more time, or few a lot more times in the future. Okay.
Thank you so much, Uttaman, for having me here. I'm glad to contribute.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, Rituman, thank you so much. I know this is your first time, so we would like to keep you coming and share more healthcare and other industry experiences, and so it's helpful for the community and everyone. Thank you so much for being here, Rituman.
Thanks for inviting, Uthman. And yeah, it was a great learning I think, for me and all of us. We learn, everyone learns from all of us.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, Dushan, so thank you so much for being here. You have you are working in a very interesting industry, and a good innovative idea. We wish you a great luck, and so we would like to thank you, and let's be in touch, and share your learnings and your experience in your future sessions.
thank you so much for inviting me. Allow me to share my thoughts and inviting all of you to stay with our properties, and you will enjoy the experience.
Absolutely, will do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks. Abdul, we have any questions? Audience, any questions you want to go, or you have anything in the chat, or so we'll. Okay, somebody is asking. Is Gen AI really improving customer experience, or are companies just copying copying competitors to look modern? Who wants to take this?
think, see, very, very quickly, Gen AI is there to not just stay, but I think it is going to be a very super critical part of the business. It gives us uh, capabilities, opportunities, use cases which were unthought of prior to I can see it in my own industry here. I mean, yeah, we can do things potentially, assuming we put the right guardrails and we do things the right way. But so much potential becomes available with Gen AI.
Okay. Okay.
It's always going to happen what use cases organization trying to solve with the things, right? If anything, customer need the quick responses, it's going to help a lot with the right amount of data. Not always all the customer will get the great experience because it cannot solve all the problems, right? But yes, it can solve the majority of the problems. We just need the basic inputs and basic data processing and some agentic flow to take the right actions.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
absolutely.
mean, one quick thing here, for example, is we have had cases where there were radiology charts where the AI predicted better diagnosis compared to MD radiologists. So, right, all that could
Yeah.
not have been possible with rules-based alone.
Yes, absolutely. Especially the vast amount of data, AI can go through, and come back with a suggestion. It could be a big game changer in that kind of industry, right? Analyzing the test results, or looking at some of these images. There are a lot of things that goes on in that image, and so you need a lot of memory power to process and come up with a suggestion. Yeah, absolutely. And that's that that particular industry can see a lot of innovation in that space. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Thanks for that. And any other questions, audience? There's one more, I guess. What best practices do you recommend for balancing Gen AI automation? Who wants to take this one? Best practices
I,
recommendation.
I think the whole field is evolving, right? We all are just trying to find out the what works and what not works. So at current situation, it's very difficult to say this is the only thing and this is the best thing because every day things are keep evolving and keep getting better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we are in that early stage where more than the pattern, we are on the trial basis, right? And yeah, see, because it depends on a lot of different use cases, again, the industry, and what is the data point you have, and how you can train, and yeah, so there are a lot of things, right? And of course the cost is a huge factor in this. So yeah, it's not cheap at all. Yeah. Okay, sounds good. So looks like we had two questions, so I think we are past our time, like by 3-4 minutes. Oh, there's one more. Maybe this is the last question. So question to Mr. Bakshi. Do you support the 30% rule of AI, or you think it's good to manipulate it case to case basis? Do you support 30% rule of AI, or you think it's good to manipulate in case to case basis? You want to take
I
it?
think sir, Bakshi sir are on mute.
So
He's
sorry.
on
Yeah,
mute.
yeah. See, again, it is all case to case basis, right? I mean, see, and it is a situation scenario which is and will keep on evolving. So for example, if I take the case of, let's say, coding of medical charts, where
Hmm.
there is a ICD code which has to be assigned after reading a inpatient medical record. So there is a patient who is admitted, There is a certain there is medical history. There is the reason of admission. So which symptoms were presented at the time of admission. Then there are different treatments which someone has gone through. There are multiple specialists who have come from maybe two or three different specialty, and then there is a discharge summary which is there. All of that is there. Now let us say there is a coding which has to be done for this. There maybe 30-70 rule is appropriate, where uh, probably there is going to be a 70% human involvement and a 30% of machine or AI
Mm.
involvement. But maybe in different use cases, things are going to be
Different. Yeah.
different, and with time, things are going to evolve. I don't know if Dushyant or in financial industries, Komal wants to comment on that.
Comment. Yeah. Huh? Mm. Tushant, Komal, you want to add anything to it?
Yeah, so human process escalation and human involvement is high in financial services. So we don't stick to 70-30. Of course, it is a case-to-case basis that what type of accuracy is acceptable to you, how much latency you are looking at, which is allowed for that model to have. So the error, I mean, accuracy, the confidence level, etc., can vary a little. But then, of course, there is no benchmarking of a 30% rule within financial services.
Okay.
And
Good.
human escalation processes, audit trails are a must. Like we spoke about disclosures, etc. Similarly, audit trails for the purpose of accountability and ownership remain important when it comes to
Okay.
finance. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Komal. So, okay, we are already or went over by 8 minutes. Sorry about that. So I would like to thank our panelists one more time, Komal, Itwan, and Dishant. Thanks so much for taking your time being here with us. It means a lot to us, and so looking forward to talking to all of you sometime in future. Thanks so much. Have a good evening, and thank you, audience, and we'll see you next month with our new topic. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you, everyone.
You.
Thank you.
Thank you.